Good morning and welcome to today's Winfluence event. For those who don't know, I'm Nikki Devitt, president of the Petoskey Chamber. Very happy you can join us for today's program. What is the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance? Before we get started, though, I want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor, Citizens National Bank. Today's important virtual event, like many others that we bring you, comes to you free of charge because of the support of Citizens National Bank. Our Winfluence programming is a broad scope of programming aimed at building stronger businesses through education and enrichment. And here today for Citizens is Nancy Lindsay. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nikki. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. I just want to say thank you for putting on these programs for the Chamber, and we are so happy to be sponsoring the Winfluence program throughout the year. And hopefully everyone has heard our announcement that we've purchased the Petoskey News Review and the print shop building, that location. And we hope to have whatever our new branch will look like in the next year or so. So it will be exciting. We've outgrown our space in Petoskey, which is a really good problem to have for us. So we're looking forward to the new facility and what that brings to the community and just the investment in Petoskey that we're here to stay. So look forward to
thank you
today's program and to seeing everyone in the future.
Forward to it, and we are so happy for the announcement, and that's going to be good for the area. So looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thanks for your sponsorship and thank you for being here today. A note before we begin, as you can already tell, we encourage you to be patient because technology is not always our friend. So we do our best and we hope you understand, but we want you to interact with us. So we ask that you use the chat feature if you have questions, especially today when it comes to the Alliance and where we're at and what we're doing. We'll be addressing those questions if you do have any. Also, for those that are familiar with our remote platform, you might notice something a little different. And they're called Remojis now. So if you look to the right of your screen, you'll notice clapping, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And then underneath your presenter, you can actually see who does that by clicking the button with the blank screen and then the little 3 icons, or you can make that go away. So some little fun new things now that you have an opportunity to play with while you're here. So do it however you wish. Now I would like to introduce you to Kirstie Sieloff. Kirstie serves as the Director for Government Relations for the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance and Traverse Connect. She joined the Alliance and Traverse Connect in February of 2020 and has spent her career within and outside state government in Michigan. Her tenure most recently includes serving as Associate Director at Disability Network Michigan, Policy and Outreach Coordinator to former Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley, and Legislative Director to former State House Appropriations Chair, State Rep. Al Pasholka. She's a graduate of Michigan State University and an alumna of Fulbright U.S. Student Program and Michigan Political Leadership Program. And I would love to have my friend, Kirstie Sieloff, please join me on the stage.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me today, Nikki. It's an honor to come and talk to your chamber and share all the great work that we've been doing together.
I am very excited to have you here. Emily's running a slideshow for us, so we can start with that. And we're just going to have a little conversation and get things going. So we'll wait for that to pop up. And once it does, I think the first thing is what is, here we go. I know how that lags a second there. I think the very first thing we have to get to is what is the Michigan Chamber Alliance?
Great. Well, first slide, please. We can go to the next. So the partnership of the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance was established based on the premise that many of the legislative issues in the UP and Northern Michigan impact us in similar ways. So our coalition exists to advocate for rural Northern Michigan and move forward rural-centric business policy. We make sure that our businesses and our chambers and economic development organizations have a seat at the table and are represented in Lansing and also at the federal level. We have 9 partners, including the Petoskey Chamber. We have 1 supporting partner and 6 associate partners. Next slide, please. And collectively, we have over 7,000 member businesses from across Northern Michigan. And these business members and their member chambers lead the direction of the Alliance. Everything we do is because of our businesses and informed by the needs of our business community. Next slide, please. So the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance is supported by one staff member and also receives support from Travers Connect staff on many of the initiatives that we do. And then our alliance is led by Stacy Beitwerk, who is the president and CEO of the Manistee Area Chamber of Commerce. And our vice chair is Sarah Hagan, president of the Charlevoix Area Chamber. Our partners meet at a minimum once a month to discuss our advocacy work and the direction of the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance. Next slide, please. So this is the exciting stuff.
Yeah, this is so exciting, and that's what I want everybody to understand. And we're going to drop that annual report. I'll put it in the chat for you right now. And we did send this out to our membership in case you didn't get it. We want you to have it. And the Alliance did some incredible things in 2020, Kirstie. And, you know, highlighting it all, that's why the annual report is here. So please take a look at it, but give us some of the big scope items.
Sure. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, I am immensely proud of all of the work that the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance did. You know, I help support the actions of the Alliance, but really the ideas and collective advocacy is supported, and the direction comes from our presidents and CEOs of all of our individual chambers. And the success of the Alliance, the secret really is that collective advocacy work. Each of our individual chambers have relationships with the legislature, with local decision makers. And when we have something that we want to move forward, all of our chambers and economic development organizations work together to help achieve those goals. And so it's really not just one staff member, it's the entire alliance working to move things forward. And I really think that is the success and the secret to our work. So just a couple highlights. Early in the pandemic, after weeks of advocacy, and like I said, everybody is helping move things forward. After weeks of advocacy for a safe reopening of Northern Michigan, our Alliance Chair, Stacy Beitwerk, was invited to join the governor on stage in announcing the first phase of reopening for regions 6 and 8. And of course, that was just early on in the beginning of the pandemic, and our advocacy work continued strong through the end of the year and continues into 2021. During the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, just over the last year, the Alliance was mentioned in the news over 25 times just for our COVID-19 advocacy, including in the Detroit News. And this earned media is an addition to earned radio interviews and also placed unified mask messaging efforts across Northern Michigan. And also another highlight is we were a part of a statewide childcare coalition and helped advocate for $1 million in the fiscal year 2021 budget for a tri-share childcare pilot to provide quality childcare through state, family, and business investment. Fast forward to 2021, and Northern Michigan was selected to serve as the rural pilot site. So not only did we help get that funding in the budget, but now we're going to have an opportunity to try out a pilot that is the first of its kind in the nation.
And another thing that really important, especially for the Petoskey region, that the Alliance advocated for in 2020 during the pandemic too, was social districts and putting those together. And we get calls from all over the state. Our area does now, is how do you do that? What's it look like? But the Alliance was strongly behind social districts becoming legislation.
Absolutely. And behind the scenes too, one of the things the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance provides to all of our chambers and economic development organizations is education and support. So these monthly meetings where we come together, we're talking about policy direction and how we want to advocate. But oftentimes too, we'll get a presentation from a state department or, you know, on an issue that we're interested in learning more about. And so it's an opportunity for us to better support our chambers in pursuing something like Cocktails to Go or a social district. So let's talk a little bit about our reopening advocacy. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, COVID was the #1 focus in 2020 for our advocacy work, and it continues to be our main focus into 2021. Right now, the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance is a member of the Reopen Michigan Safely. and the Reopen Michigan Safely Coalition. And this coalition is seeking to re-energize Michigan's economy with a focus on office work, but also looking to reopen all industries in Michigan. Numerous economic development groups have joined this coalition. There's a real concern about getting our offices back up and running, especially in our downtown areas. This coalition had hoped that there wouldn't be an extension of the MIOSHA emergency rules that were to expire on April 14th. Unfortunately, we did see an extension of those emergency rules as well as MIOSHA draft rules filed. So we continue to make sure that our business voice is shared in Lansing, that our businesses are ready to reopen. We know how to be safe and how to protect patrons and employees. So right now on the reopening front, we've been doing a lot of public advocacy and also making sure that we're sharing our message with decision makers. As I mentioned, the MIOSHA emergency rules were extended. That doesn't necessarily mean that they need to remain in place for the entire 6 months, and we're hopeful that they won't, that we'll be in a place with the COVID-19 pandemic and numbers where these emergency rules will not be necessary. Our next hurdle that we're facing is that MIOSHA draft rules were filed with the Michigan Secretary of State. These rules would extend many of MIOSHA's COVID-19 emergency rules on a permanent basis. So we are reviewing those draft rules, and we are continuing to work through the Reopen Michigan Safely Coalition on unified next steps. We also recently saw an extension of the MDHHS epidemic order. Of course, we were disappointed to see this order extended, but we were also relieved that there weren't further restrictions on businesses. And we've been very intentional to make sure we get our message out in the media, like our Chair Stacy's statement when that MDHHS epidemic order was extended, and that's on my screen right now.
And it's important too, because we know at the Alliance, and I think it's one thing, credit to the Alliance that we've done very well, is we know that there is a balance between the health and safety of our communities, economically support businesses. And the Alliance has done a very good job in their messaging and in all the media that we've done about understanding when things happen, but also making sure that we're continuing putting it out there that we know businesses can be trusted. We business owners have done this dance for a year now, and they are in a position to move themselves forward when the time is right. We knew that, this latest extension from MDHHS, being the hottest COVID spot in the country, made some sense. We understood that. We were, as you said, get pulled back more, but looking forward beyond May 24th, it's what do our next steps look like? And the Alliance is already working on messaging for that.
Mm-hmm. And if you follow our work in the news and with the updates that Nikki sends out, our work, will often focus on a certain industry that needs a little more support at that time. We've done a lot of work for restaurants and bars, event spaces. Recently, we had the opportunity to submit written testimony for banquet halls and funeral homes to the House Oversight Committee. So we make sure that we're listening to our industries and who's needing support at, of course, we want all of our industries to be able to open, but, certain industries need more support at certain times.
Very good. It's
so next
not about COVID, though, is it?
So outside of our reopening advocacy, we've taken the time to create and adopt new policy priorities, and I'm really excited about this. So as many of you know, the Alliance has worked from the 4 pillars of rural prosperity for a number of years, and this policy agenda has kept the Alliance focused. And this year, we wanted to build on the success of the 4 pillars and give our policy priorities a refresh that are more reflective of where our organization wants to go now and into the future. So not too long ago, we adopted these policy priorities: support, develop, compete. Next slide, please. We want to support the success of existing Northern Michigan businesses. So proactively anticipate and address the needs of the existing business community. We want to develop and attract a talented workforce in Northern Michigan. We want to advocate for policies that make Northern Michigan an attractive location for talent. And we want to maximize the competitiveness of the rural Northern Michigan business environment. So advocate for state policies, incentives, and infrastructure needs so Northern Michigan can compete on the state, national, and international stages. Next slide, please. So underneath these policy priorities, the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance also adopted a 2021 policy framework. So we've organized everything that we hope to achieve over the next year and how we will engage if certain issues come up. And our policy framework sets the direction for our policy positions and how we will interact should some of these issues be brought up this year. So out of our 2021 policy framework, our top priorities include, of course, continued COVID-19 advocacy and funding relief and re-engaging our workforce. We want to also address quality childcare. Right now, we know that there is appetite and desire to work on quality childcare in the legislature and by the administration. So we want to be a good partner and also engage on those issues. And we know that quality childcare is such a scarcity here in Northern Michigan, and it can really be a barrier to talent for businesses. We also want to address workforce housing and increasing availability of all types of housing, access to broadband, and workforce training. So those are our top issues for 2021. And underneath those issues, we have more granular issues that we want to work on. This is just a few highlights from our policy framework that I just wanted to kind of give a feel for what it looks like. And you can find the full framework in our annual report. But just a few examples of what we would like to address and monitor over the next year includes addressing the unemployment insurance trust fund balance shortfall with state and federal funds, promoting innovative regulatory reform to provide access to quality childcare, strengthening relationships and collaboration with state departments, especially with housing being so important to us, making sure that we're working with the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, supporting broadband expansion to rural communities so businesses can compete in the global economy, and also supporting access to skilled trades, education, and training.
And all of this too is based off of, the old adage when we're looking at our new policy frameworks and how we've redistributed the four pillars of rural into our new support, compete, and develop, is that we know one size does not fit all. And that's when everybody asks me, why the alliance? Why formula? What is the reason? We know very well one size does not fit all in Northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula. And it's the alliance's efforts and research and education from the perspective that you bring to it that shows us where our businesses need to be heard most, and using that collective voice to get that messaging out across the state are different, and we do differently. I think an example of that is we had those regions last summer. We had the MERC regions in 6 and 8, everything. It was because the Northern Michigan and the Alliance was, as Kirstie's being a little bit humble here, the Alliance was very loud in our advocacy to get us open before the rest of the state, and essentially said, we don't work like the rest of the state does. We are spread out. We have different ways of, addressing issues. And if we are given a chance, we can probably show you how to do it right, which is exactly what we did. So it's very important that if you as a member have issues and concerns for your business or your community, that you to your chamber. So each individual chamber that's part of the alliance, we serve as your voice to the alliance as a whole, as the collective. So we hope that you the importance of sharing what you have when you're looking at what you want your alliance focusing on, so that we can get that into the entire alliance as a whole.
Nikki, that's a great point. Our chamber presidents and CEOs are taking the feedback from their business members and bringing that up to the alliance for our collective discussions. So they're an extension of the needs of their local members. Another thing that's very important about this policy framework is it allows us to engage quickly. One of the things that I've been very impressed about the Alliance is that all of our chamber EDs are able to make a decision at that meeting or via email when I need it very quickly. And that's because they know the needs of their members and what's best for their local community and for our region. But this framework also allows me to engage without having to go back to the group and get permission, because we've signaled how we'll engage on these issues in our 2021 framework. So all of this is to help us make us more efficient and be able to be proactive about our advocacy.
Excellent. Great point.
And I think that's my last slide. So we can go to the closing slide. That's just a little screenshot of us from our strategic planning. We took a strategic planning process in December to better prepare us for 2021. And out of that came our framework and our new policy priorities. And actually some more exciting news, the Alliance is going through a rebranding process right now. So I'll be looking forward to sharing that with all of our business members soon here.
We'll have that soon. And I think it's safe to say, before we hit to any questions that anybody might have, there is a tremendous amount of the Alliance members who have never met in person. We have had, obviously, all of our meetings virtual since February, and there was some leadership changes, not just in my position, but some of the other chambers as well. So there is a handful of us on the Alliance who work together, not just on our monthly meetings, but consistently. We converse all the time on issues that have never sat in the same room together. So I think that speaks volumes of your leadership for the Alliance, Kirstie, is to making us on the same page and keeping with a focus for sure.
Well, thank you. And it truly is an honor to represent Northern Michigan and the business voice every day. It's an honor to move forward our work. So thank you for the opportunity to share our work, and happy to take any questions.
Absolutely. And I'm going to drop in the chat to the Alliance website, which also is getting a new look very soon.
Yes, the Alliance is getting a new logo and a new website. So
yes.
I share a lot of our stuff on Facebook right now while we're working on a new website, but I do often link to the website where I host a lot of our work.
And of course, we tag a lot, our Facebook to yours, and so we'll keep close with that. So it just goes to show that you get a lot of attention, as we have in the last year, for our efforts and our advocacy, and for being what's best for business in our communities. So you've got to kind of freshen up a little bit and make sure that while you're always paying attention to you, it all looks good too. So if we have a few questions, I'll give a couple more minutes, and then if we don't have any questions, we'll put everybody back to the floor and give you that opportunity once again to talk one-on-one for a few minutes. And if you want to find Kirstie or myself and ask questions directly, you always can do that too. I want to make another special thank you to Citizens National Bank for being our sponsor of Winfluence today. And make sure you utilize what's in the chat. And as always, reach out to us if you need more information, especially when it comes to advocating for your business and the best policies and practices for Northern Michigan. We will get it directly into our ties with the Alliance. And we're just glad we had a few minutes today to give a little bit of an overview. Thank you, Kirstie.